Greetings, welcome to my show. Hello, my name is Tom. My purpose here is to provide my perspective on what's happening in the world. I plan on running for U.S. House of Representatives in 2028 for Oregon's 6th Congressional District. My objective is to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. Mostag. This YouTube channel is my way of providing the people of Oregon's 6th Congressional District with an understanding of what kind of person I am. David Russ is presently running for the position of U.S. Representative for Oregon's 6th Congressional District. I support David. Go check out his website. I am a Republican, but I do respect the core values of Democrats. The 5 core values that distinguish Republicans from Democrats are the view of the individual, decision-making authority, role of government, economic philosophy, and fiscal approach. Our core values differ, but it is our ability to compromise that makes us all the same. Although Republicans and Democrats often disagree on policy, both generally seek a nation that is prosperous, secure, and free. Their differences arise from competing ideas about how those goals are best accomplished. Republicans generally place greater confidence in limited government, free markets, local decision-making, and individual responsibility. Democrats generally place greater confidence in coordinated government action, public investment, and national programs designed to address broad social and economic challenges. Understanding these philosophical differences helps explain why the two parties frequently propose different solutions to the same problems. In the end, informed citizens must decide which philosophy they believe best promotes liberty, prosperity, justice, and the common good. I keep hearing our politicians saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I want to set the record straight. Insanity refers to a severe mental disorder that may impair a person's ability to understand reality, appreciate the consequences of actions, or exercise rational judgment. The popular quotation, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results," comes from Rita Mae Brown's 1983 novel, Sudden Death. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is not the definition of insanity. It is, however, the definition of the scientific method. One of the first principles of engineering is that every process contains variation. If you want to understand a process, you don't perform it once. You perform it over and over again, carefully measure the results, and analyze the variation. It's called statistical process control. The real lesson behind Rita Mae Brown's quotation is not that repetition is irrational. The lesson is that repeating a course of action while ignoring evidence is irrational. If a policy consistently fails to achieve its objective, if the data repeatedly demonstrate poor results, if the evidence clearly identifies the source of the problem, and leaders refuse to examine the evidence or change course, that is poor decision-making. Science teaches us to repeat experiments. Engineering teaches us to measure variation. Constitutional government should teach us to evaluate policies using evidence rather than assumptions. This slide summarizes 10 of the highest priorities that I believe would strengthen America over the coming decades. These objectives focus on public health, economic growth, constitutional government, national security, election integrity, and fiscal responsibility. Let's briefly examine each one. Number 1. Research into immunotherapy for curing cancer. Cancer remains one of the leading causes of death worldwide, and Oregon has long been a global leader in immunotherapy research for curing cancer. I believe we should make immunotherapy one of our highest national priorities, and I believe the way to do that is to bring money to Oregon's immunotherapy research centers. Rather than simply treating cancer, immunotherapy seeks to enable the body's own immune system to identify and destroy cancer cells. If successful, these treatments have the potential to save millions of lives while reducing the long-term cost of health care. Number 2. TB and polio screening for all migrants and food workers. Protecting public health is one of the legitimate responsibilities of government. Diseases such as tuberculosis and polio remain active in parts of the world. Screening migrants entering the country, along with individuals working in food service, helps reduce the risk of introducing preventable diseases into the population. The objective is not punishment. The objective is prevention. Number 3. Require early measles vaccination. Measles is one of the most contagious diseases known to medicine. The characteristic that makes measles deadly is its ability to reset the human immune system. Before vaccines became widely available, measles caused significant illness and death among children. Vaccination has dramatically reduced those risks. Maintaining high vaccination rates helps protect both individuals and communities by limiting outbreaks before they occur. Number 4. An amendment to the Constitution. This would be the 28th Amendment, requiring transparency in financial incentives. In 1934, the Supreme Court allowed the government to provide financial incentives to non-government organizations to help stimulate economic growth. The result of this is a system that has kept the same incentives around for almost a century. My proposed amendment will require examination of these incentives and all future incentives by the executive branch. This will ensure that incentives are not misused or prolonged after their effectiveness. This greater transparency allows citizens to better evaluate potential conflicts of interest while strengthening confidence in representative government. Number 5. Protect law enforcement through the Reasonable Operational Space Act. I've seen protesters get up into the faces of law enforcement officers, and because they aren't making physical contact, those law enforcement officers aren't allowed to do anything. I want to provide law enforcement officers with a reasonable operating space of at least 36 inches. Law enforcement officers often make life or death decisions in rapidly changing situations. My proposal seeks to clearly define the reasonable operational space officers require to safely perform their duties while remaining accountable under the law. The objective is both effective policing and protection of constitutional rights. Number 6. The American Talent First Act. America benefits from immigration, but the government should ensure qualified American workers receive the first opportunity to fill available jobs before employers seek labor elsewhere. The goal is to strengthen the domestic workforce while encouraging investment in American education and technical skills. Number 7. In-person voting. Confidence in elections is essential to representative government. I support in-person voting with exceptions for military personnel, overseas citizens, and individuals with legitimate medical limitations. The objective is to maximize both election security and public confidence. Number 8. 5-Pillar Blueprint to empower local governments. Many national problems are best solved locally. My 5-Pillar Blueprint requires local governments to create and submit plans for infrastructure, jobs, housing, food, and fuel. Rather than concentrating authority in Washington, communities should have greater flexibility to identify local priorities and develop practical solutions. Strong local governments create stronger states and ultimately a stronger nation. Number 9. Secure America's digital infrastructure by building PLCs domestically. Programmable logic controllers, called PLCs, operate critical infrastructure, including power plants, water systems, factories, pipelines, and transportation networks. If a PLC is built in China, the Communist Party would be irresponsible for not putting some kind of malware into the CPU, so that control can be taken away from us. America should reduce dependence on foreign suppliers for these critical components. Domestic manufacturing strengthens national security while protecting critical infrastructure from supply chain disruptions. Number 10. Remove $5 trillion from the national debt. The national debt represents one of America's greatest long-term economic challenges. Large debt increases interest costs, limits future government flexibility, and shifts financial burdens onto future generations. Reducing the national debt by $5 trillion would strengthen America's fiscal position while creating greater economic stability for future generations. I have a strategy to accomplish this. These 10 objectives are connected by a common principle. They seek to strengthen America's health, its economy, its constitutional system, its national security, and its long-term prosperity. While reasonable people may disagree about the best methods for achieving these goals, I believe these priorities represent practical investments in America's future. Together, they form part of a broader vision for preserving liberty, promoting opportunity, and ensuring that the United States remains strong for generations to come. Keeping It Constitutional is a compilation of all the presentations I've made for the last year and a half. I'm selling it on Amazon, and I plan on donating 25% of the gross to the Republican Election Fund. That's half of what I get after taxes. I was motivated to do this after I realized that the Republican Party will never be able to outspend the Democrat Party. As a result of Democratic Party spending, we have socialists in charge in New York City and Seattle. We also have a mayor in Portland who thinks that hippies wearing inflatable frog suits, the Portland Frog Brigade, will fix the problems of homelessness and rampant drug use better than responsible business owners and productive government leadership. The Republican Party needs campaign funding desperately, and this is my attempt to make that happen. The book synopsis goes like this. What if the Constitution isn't just a legal document, but a process map for governing a free society? In Keeping It Constitutional, the author approaches American government the way an engineer approaches a complex system, by asking fundamental questions, defining objectives, examining constraints, and evaluating results. Rather than beginning with political parties or personalities, this book begins with principles. Why does government exist? What are its legitimate responsibilities? How should citizens evaluate public policy? Drawing upon the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, systems thinking, history, economics, psychology, and engineering principles, Keeping It Constitutional presents a practical framework for understanding government as a constitutional system designed to secure life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Inside, you'll explore topics including the true purpose of constitutional government, the Constitution as America's process map, the proper role of federal, state, and local government, representation, gerrymandering, and constitutional accountability, free markets, manufacturing, infrastructure, and national prosperity, immigration, national security, and constitutional leadership, political virtue, political evil, and responsible citizenship, human psychology, Paradise Lost, and the balance between emotion and reason, America's place in the continuing story of human civilization. Rather than telling readers what to think, Keeping It Constitutional provides a framework for how to think about government. Whether you're a conservative, liberal, independent, libertarian, or simply someone searching for a more thoughtful approach to politics, this book challenges readers to move beyond slogans and rediscover the constitutional principles that have shaped the American experiment for 2.5 centuries. Because preserving liberty begins with understanding the Constitution. The QR code will lead you to the Amazon site where you can purchase this book and provide campaign funds for the Republican Party. Thank you. Once again, I support David Rust for the position of U.S. House of Representatives for Oregon's 6th Congressional District. Check out his website. I do support our President Donald J. Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think he's done a great job, and he really deserves it. I do support the MAGA agenda. Mostly, I support the Make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's Greatest Congressional District Mostag agenda. Oregon is a great place with unlimited potential, and I'd love to be part of the state's continued greatness. Thank you for listening. Take care and God bless.